Hey, welcome to another episode. Today I'm going to review Brett Swensen. He has led marketing at two of the fastest growing consumer brands in Utah, Purple and Kizik. Brett was instrumental in taking that brand from non-existent to a household name and eventually going public within a couple of years. He was there during their critical high growth period that led Purple's transformative marketing that proved unique to the industry. Brad joined the Kizik team in 2019, bringing deep expertise in consumer journey and direct response marketing. As the vice president of marketing at Kizik, Brett has taken another non-existent brand to a nine-figure run rate. Brett has led marketing efforts that have changed the way people think about footwear. Hey, Brett, thanks for being on the show today. I appreciate that.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, happy to do this interview because I know you have a lot of experience in the DTC space. I know you have taken two non-existent brands to nine figures, and I don't believe in coincidences. So could you please break down that the key actions that help you replicate these successfully for both brands?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to take all the credit for it, but worked with some amazing people, and I know you don't believe in luck, but I feel like I've been lucky to work with and be involved in brands at the right time. And quite honestly, I think it starts from a great product. I think as a marketer, looking for opportunities and where you may be going in your career. I mean, looking for a great product that truly is unique has been a key to my success. So, starting for those of you who don't know, I started at a company called Purple, the mattress company. I honestly was just exiting. I was leaving a career, sold a business, and was just looking to get in the D2C space and found a mattress company locally here. And I was like, okay, interesting. They were looking for someone to run, retention and email marketing and kind of that whole ecosystem. And so I took a chance there and really didn't know what I was getting into, but they had just launched one of the most successful Kickstarters ever. And the more I learned about the company, the more excited I got, and the more of an opportunity I saw it was truly a disruptive technology. There was many patents on the technology that actually made up the bed that again differentiated it within the market. And so for me, it was great timing and to be involved with a product that was again truly disruptive, and then layer that on with great marketing and great storytelling, and it really kind of exploded from there. So that was Purple. And I think being at Kizik, there's been a lot of similarities, and I think I've been there almost 5 years, and I think some of the team's probably sick of hearing like, "Oh, this reminds me when we were at Purple," and we kind of saw some of these similarities, but there really has been a lot of parallels, different milestones that we've hit that remind you of kind of the trajectory of the business and where maybe the next step is, and again, it's all centered around great product. I mean, having something that is truly disruptive in footwear has been another fun place to be, completely different from selling mattresses online, to selling footwear. But yeah, I'd say that's where it starts. Great product and being able to tell great stories.
I I don't remember if it was yesterday or today. I read a post. It was from Ronak Shah, the founder of and CEO at Upbe. He
Hmm.
said something that he heard about having a great product is a prerequisite now, and the new thing or something that these people consider new is, the distribution, so the marketing. So of course, the first step is having a great product. As you said, that's probably the common pattern for almost every successful brand, I believe. But then marketing distribution is key. So could you please tell us more a little bit of what you did? Because we work with, for example, I have an agency and we work with many clients, helping them with the marketing, and all of them, of course, want to grow. Who doesn't want to grow? But those brands that go from almost nothing to nine figures is not something you hear every day. So I think, or I believe that there must be some key actions, or it could be the processes of focus, the team that you do to at least have more chances of getting there.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a great question. And I would agree. I mean, I think, back I was at Purple 20, 2016 to 2019, somewhere in that range. And, for us, that was kind of Facebook arbitrage was going on at the time. And, the distribution was slightly different. But again, I think for what I've seen in my career is telling, and I mentioned this, but being able to be a storyteller and really connect with on a human level with people and where they're at in their journey is really paramount. And I think at both places I've been, building a team that's focused around that, around content distribution and content creation is been paramount. I mean, we started off scrappy and doing things in house, and we hired probably a little bit ahead of where we were at the time, but we knew in order to really, break through the noise and tell a story that was compelling and that would, for us, again, being disruptive in a market, we needed to push people in market. We were not coming, both businesses not coming at this from just capturing demand, but really building that demand and building awareness. And to me, that all starts with great content and great storytelling. And so, for us, at the time at Purple, that was, really building. I think when I was there, we launched over 150 different pieces of video content on YouTube. And those were anywhere from short form to long form. And then, kind of the supporting ecosystem of Meta and, at the time, Facebook, and, kind of our acquisition channels. But again, really being intentional and, um, deliberate about the content we created that would both entertain and educate. And again, at Purple, the purchase cycle was, upwards of 3 months, right? So for us, it was playing a little bit of the long game. How do we make people aware, push them into a consideration phase rather than, coming and competing at the bottom for people that were already in market, so that, when you thought about buying your next mattress, you're like, what was that commercial with Goldilocks? Or, we had several videos. We had sumo wrestlers in one video. We had Sasquatch in another. We were just really trying to both educate but also entertain. And we've taken, some of that same philosophy at Kizik, and again with a product that's really disruptive and demonstrable, really showing and bringing people to us and being in their consideration set. So the next time they're looking for a footwear purchase, they're thinking about what were those shoes that you could just step into, you didn't have to use your hands. And hopefully we did enough to entertain and become memorable enough for some ad recall. And I truly believe that's what's led to a lot of our success is really doubling down on content and being willing to invest there.
Amazing. I love that. So you mentioned YouTube. If you needed to describe a kind of a pie chart of the channels that drove most of the traffic conversions, which channels did you leverage the most? At least at Purple first.
Yeah, I mean, I think at Purple, it was kind of three big players. It was Facebook, it was Google search, and then Google YouTube. On the YouTube side was kind of where we were focused. Their TikTok wasn't really around, and Snapchat and some of those others. So we were really focused on those three main platforms. And obviously, the way that I look at it is, you know, everyone's heard about filling the funnel and building a funnel, and marketers are probably sick of that, but I really think it's important that we used YouTube a lot to, again, create a lot of awareness. So we focused on video view campaigns and really creating a broad and a wide net, and again, entertaining and educating around this new way. At the time, even ordering a mattress online and get it shipped to your house was still relatively new. There were other incumbents that have kind of paved the path a little bit, but we used YouTube for a lot of awareness and education. And then what we saw was people searching for the brand or coming, more of the mid to bottom funnel on Facebook and kind of capturing that actual demand that had been built up. And so we looked at them as partners rather than just like, you know, build and spend on YouTube and look at customer acquisition on YouTube. It was an ecosystem that needed to be in balance, and looked at it, as kind of that flywheel to drive people, again, from awareness maybe 3 months ago to purchasing, on day 90. And so it was a long purchase cycle that we had to really craft and get right.
And it's I can imagine a tough product to sell even more initially because people want to test it, to feel it, and it's not. Uh, I don't know if I'm not talking about Purple's product specifically, but mattresses, like they are not like good looking products. They look alike, and you don't know the difference until you feel them or show the technology with animations or illustrations or whatever. So it's cool that you have pulled that off. And do you know why I'm asking these questions? Because there's a lot of, I'm not saying noise, but content online about things that are working right now for many companies. Like you should do whitelisting, you should build a community, you should do like you should. And you have built or helped build 9-figure companies not only once but twice. And that's why I'm asking for everyone listening, founders that are looking to keep growing and say, hey, what's next for me? Of course, there are as many answers as companies probably, but it's nice for them to hear from you what worked for two companies as you scaled. So if you had to say from 0 to 1 or 1 to 10 million and then to 50, 100 or and so on, what do you think that are the main things that changed? I know it's a tough question, but
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always just some fundamentals that often get overlooked, right? I mean, and I think depending on your business, right? Again, if I was starting a company today that was probably more like in the consumable space or something that was uh, already, top of mind for people, there's a lot more, opportunity to play in more of that demand capture space and like really be involved there. But at the companies I've been at, we really have created or really evolved categories. For example, at Kizik, there were, we people had been, the footwear industry hasn't changed all that much over, the last 100 years. There's material and color choices and things like that, but really coming to market with a disruptive technology that really was a new way of thinking about putting on your shoes. They're not slip-ons. They're not what you may think of, but they're, this technology that's meant to allow you to put your shoes on without hands, but they fit like a regular shoe. And explaining that and telling that to someone meant that we had to go and invest in building a category that really didn't exist. And so the way we spent our marketing dollars was probably a little bit different than, if I was starting again, a consumable brand or a beverage brand, right? That was kind of already had a lot of consumer awareness. It would just be different. And so I think starting with the fundamentals, getting your site dialed in, getting landing pages set up, getting, your email and flows and all of that like foundational stuff set up would, it's kind of that 0 to 1. You got to start to find product market fit and make sure that path to purchase, that you've really crafted that and thought through it, along the way. And then I think once you've found product market fit and you can find some scale, sticking with one channel, maybe two, to really build that, you can go a long way, $50 million probably, before you need to start to branch out into, TV and, even some PR efforts. And, that's what we saw at Kizik is, really we're able to dial in and scale without having to distribute our attention and focus and maybe get distracted. And I see a lot of brands that are trying to skip steps. And I think that's just important to remember is you can do a lot on a couple channels really well. And then, on your own, your website and how you articulate your messaging through, again, email and community and that's all. You can do that just with hustle and grit and without having to spend mass amounts of dollars on, marketing. So that's where I'd start. And then you can look at new opportunities as you scale.
Yeah. And what, let's say, top KPIs you monitor as you scale? Some brands are obsessed over some, and some other brands over other KPIs. Some say, hey, I only want to go after new customers. So they have metrics for new customers. I only want repeat customers. I only want ROAS, MER. So what do you guys obsess about, and how did that change as you grew the business?
Yeah. I mean, I think you articulated well. As when we started out, it was just, can we get sales at all? Can we find product market fit? And then it started to be, okay, how do we optimize our customer acquisition cost? And what is that starting to look like? Okay, let's start if we can dial that in. And then it was, okay, ROAS, what does our blended ROAS look like, week over week, month over month? And we really wanted to be aggressive. And so we looked for, when we found success, we looked for opportunities to increase budget. So we would have weekly, and we still do actually, we have weekly meetings where we review the previous week's performance and see if there's opportunity for us to scale, if we want to hold flat, if we want to pull back. But we're pretty agile and nimble. And I think that allowed us early on really to get in a mindset of, putting our foot on the gas when needed, and or just figuring things out as we went. So again, yeah, we weren't focused necessarily on profitability up front. It was about growth. So new customers, our CAC, ROAS, and then as we started to grow, maybe our in our second year, it was looking at, okay, how do we start to bring people back and create LTV so that we can see over time, hey, our customer acquisition cost to LTV, what is that looking like? And can we start to create some historical precedents that we can break down our cohorts and start to, make sense of this as the business matures. And so, and then now, it's looking, where can we find 1 to 2 percentage points to increase or decrease costs here, and find more efficiency here, and doing a lot more CRO, right? Looking at revenue per session, and how do we just optimize the traffic we have coming in? And because 1 to 2 points at a business our size is a big deal. That could be hundreds of thousands of dollars, $1 million on an annual basis. And so, yeah, I think it just, the screw's starting to tighten a little bit more, and you start to look at areas that you can, you can get a bit more out of. And so I'd say, and the last one I'd say is our retention efforts have been a big part over the last 24 months. How can we do more? How can we speed that path to purchase up, maybe by a couple weeks or 30 days, bring people back more consistently, and again, really start to forecast LTV so that we can maybe be more aggressive with our customer acquisition to support our future growth, where cash, we're not so as cash constrained as we were early on. We can look at those 30, 60, 90-day windows a little bit differently now for payback periods.
When you talk about retention, are you talking about email marketing, or do you do anything else to help with that?
Yeah, I think maybe I take a little bit of a broader view, where I think retention also starts with your product too. We in the footwear space, we want to make sure we have opportunities. We call them energy moments, time where we can have moments that we can message our community. Obviously, again, the channels may vary, whether it's email, SMS, direct mail has been a good part of our retention efforts over the last couple of years. But can we create moments that are exciting and incentivize our customers to come back? So not just, hey, here's a sale or here's a holiday, but can we create a moment where they're, if we look at ourselves as consumers, I want to tell me about stuff that's new product, new colors, what's something that I can get excited about versus just 15%, 20% off. And so I think it starts there, and being intentional with what you create and when you launch it, especially in footwear. We're on an 18-month calendar. And so it just takes a lot of pre-planned thought of when you can hold some of those products and launch them strategically to create those energy moments throughout the year. So yeah, that's what we've been focused on.
How do you incorporate customer feedback? It could be objections, it could be things, positive things they say about you. As an example of what I mean, I saw one of your ads that I loved it because it's what I think a clear objection about, hey, they fit really easily, but I mean, do they stay on, or so as easy. So I know you address that in the ad because you might know, or I guess you know that it's a common objection. So what other examples of that do you have?
Yeah. So we have maybe just how we collect it. We have a social response team that's or social listening, I guess, that's responding to a lot of those comments and categorizing them so that we can create an archive and share it with our acquisition team and our creative strategists so that we can look at those and figure out, yeah, what are people talking about? What are some opportunities that we can leverage around content? So that's one way. And then we have a post-purchase survey that asks for feedback as well. And we pull that on a weekly basis and look for new opportunities to, again, feed back into our creative team. And then figure out, what size do we feel like that may be affecting? What's the ratio of comments we're getting around that? And that kind of helps prioritize how we want to address it. So, yeah, I mean, maybe an example of that is, probably stuff that is you would think of with a footwear brand, but how for what you mentioned, does it fit like a regular shoe, or am I going to flop around in these? Is it going to feel like a loafer? That's a question we get a lot. We get a lot of questions about fit and comfort. So if I have a wide foot, do you have something for me? If I have a narrow foot, what materiality, durability, those are all things that come up just in comments of like, and people will ask. What's cool when you have a community is they'll ask other people in the ads too. Like, has anyone bought these before, and how long did they last, or did they fit one way or another? And so we take all that in. We built things on our site that kind of give fit and feel barometers of how different shoes flow on that scale. And so we hope that that's again another moment we can overcome an objection when they're on our PEPs. Oh, this one fits a little bit narrow, or this one fits a little bit large, so maybe size down a half size. And again, that not only helps acquisition and bringing a customer in today, but also our repeat purchase rate, or our return rate. We have anywhere between 5 to 10% lower return rates than others in the industry. I think that's primarily product driven, but also we saw opportunities on the site to message things, and that brought down return rates as well. So we look at it again holistically because returns, the sale is great today, but if we can mitigate returns, that's more bottom line revenue. We get to the end of the day.
Exactly. And of course, without a great team, there's no growth at all. So how did you grow the team? Because I can imagine that it's not the same team when you were doing almost nothing, or I don't know what the company was doing when you joined, but probably it's not even close to what they are doing currently, right?
Yeah. I think one of the smartest things we did early on, and shout out to our leadership team, and Alex MacArthur, he and I worked together at Purple. He came over to Kizik and recently left Kizik, but was our CMO, and brought me on, and along with someone named Blake Brown. He's kind of our VP of creative, brand and creative. And we were wearing so many hats, so it was kind of he and I in the trenches early on, just doing everything. He was doing everything on the creative side. I was doing everything else, like from acquisition and growth, and when we got into PR, and so I think it was having people that were willing to not only create strategic vision and guidance, but also be willing to get in the weeds and do the day-to-day work. Like sending emails. Like I was doing that all until a year and a half ago, right? So, it's kind of that mentality, finding the right people that are willing, that can zoom in and zoom out, is what I like to call it. I mean, zoom in on the day to day and the nitty gritty, but then zoom out and think 6, 12, 24 months down the road. It takes a real skill to be able to do that. And so I think we brought on those type of people early on. So they could wear multiple hats, and we could still stay lean, but move really quickly and get a lot done. And then over time, as we grew and brought on more people that were specialized in their areas. So, specific media buyers, specific retention team. Now we have multiple um, uh, people on our designers and photographers. So, but that was all being done mostly in house, or we would outsource a little bit. And again, that kept our OpEx lean and able to invest back into marketing and ad spend and grow really fast. And then that opened up opportunities for us to, fire ourselves from a bunch of jobs and and bring new people on that were really specialized in that skill. And to me, that was kind of the best way to go about it, and not really have to rely too much on agencies. I think we got lucky, but also we're really specific on the type of people that we bring on, and what we call kind of an owner's mentality. See a problem, go solve it, be a solution provider, and versus having to give people checklists of what they had to do every day. So
Yeah, that makes a difference. Okay, so I have a question about the following. So I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you changed the demographic you were targeting. Yeah, yeah, for Kizik, you were targeting an older demographic. Is that correct? And then you changed. Why is that? And what were some of the challenges involved in the process?
yeah, several times. So when we first started, a lot of it was still kind of proof of concept. We had shoes. There was a few small wholesalers that were carrying some Kizik shoes, but um, there was a time where again, proving out that we could find product market fit. And the predominant age range that we're buying shoes at the time were 65 plus, and I'd say 80% of that was male. So think of kind of aging America. They were buying heavy leather shoes that we offered at the time, premium leather, $180 type shoes. And that's just who, our brand colors were deep red and kind of masculine. And so it was really geared towards kind of that audience. And when we came on, it was, our first thoughts were, okay, Allbirds was really big at the time and disrupting kind of the D2C space. And so in order to compete, we came up with a new product point of view that were kind of your everyday knit sneakers, and got to work on building those, and then launched kind of our next iteration of the brand, which was a little bit, our colors lightened up, and the messaging became more for everyone, and comfort and convenience focused rather than just like strictly hands free, but we try to broaden that out, and that really allowed us to speak more broadly to women. And also, it brought us down in age to probably 45 to 55-year-olds were starting to kind of to come into the brand, and a lot more women. And then over time we started to shift again, and currently we're now targeting more in that 25 to 45-year-old range. Skews a little bit more on the towards women, but it's a nice balance where we can speak a little bit more aspirationally, and a little bit more around the lifestyle. I mean, people choose footwear based off of style choices and what they wear with their outfit. And so we've really tried to shift the narrative, just be from a problem solution brand to more of a lifestyle brand that fits a little bit younger demographic.
Of course, it all starts with the product, but then, as you said before, is the storytelling that helps shift the from one audience to the other. So that's
Yeah,
great.
big
And
time.
how did you or how do you think that the brand platform changed over the last year? What did you do different than previous years?
Yeah, it's really exciting. We've been working on a new platform that's we've shifted a little bit. If you go to our site today, and if you're in the 80% that gets our new our new site versus the 20% holdout, you'll see a lot of new brand imaging. And again, we knew in order to kind of evolve as a brand, and our goal is to become, $1 billion brand in the next 3 to 5 years. And in order to do that, we really had to create a point of view, not just from a product standpoint, but again, from culture at large, and from, we just know that people are making decisions based off of style and what fits their lifestyle. So we did a lot of work talking to current consumers, talking to people that had no idea about Kizik and what they saw, or what resonated with them. And so I'm super excited. Probably, I don't know when this airs, but you'll probably start to see all of our new media. We're going nationally. We have a pop-up that's happening in New York, and it's all around this idea of motion and the magic that people find in motion. So you can envision, for those of you who don't know Kizik, we make hands-free shoes that you can step into. They fit like a regular shoe, and you can kind of be on your way. So there's a natural, I think, spark or momentum shift that we provide people that allows people to be in motion, and we call it frictionless motion. And I think it's a way to speak to people, again, about the benefit of the product and what it's enabling them to do in their lives, which is to make people feel, like they can go anywhere and do anything and make the most out of life, whether that's, across the street or across the world. And again, it's an evolution of our brand and who we're speaking to, kind of those people that are what we call go-minded optimists, that are, they're saying yes to things. They're maximizing life rather than kind of on their back foot, letting life happen to them. And that's just a great way for us to wrap our arms around this aspirational consumer and bring people in that see themselves in that. And we haven't had that sharp of a point of view. We've been speaking really broadly over time, and that's going to give us a little bit more, just a sharper point of view that we can tell stories and build the brand around. So we're super excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know which version of the website I saw now that you are saying that there might be multiple ones, but I loved it. I mean, it was motion, it was all about motion, it was fresh, colorful. So I loved the website, the ads, the imagery, everything like makes sense. Everything is about the same and gives you the same feeling. So first off, congrats. And no wonder you're having the momentum and success that you are having. And I'm curious about one thing that you said in your last comment. You want to become $1 billion brand, right? You have already scaled up to 9 figures. What do you think that's next for you to get there? You mentioned, talking to more customers that none or prospects that don't buy Kizik and see what they want that you're not offering. So do you feel that it's more about the untapped audiences because they are not choosing you intentionally or because they are not aware that the brand exists or the benefits? How do you think that that will play out?
Yeah. Both, quite frankly. I mean, one of the big levers that we're pulling right now is distribution, right? The vast majority of people, we've somewhere in the 60 to 70% range still buy their footwear in store, right? So while we're tapping into a market and have grown really successfully, primarily with D2C, we know there's a huge opportunity for us through our own retail, and then through our wholesale partners and other outlets. So this year, last year we opened our first retail store. This year we're going to open 5 more. And then our hope is kind of what we're on track for by the end of the year is to have over 500 doors of wholesale partners opened. So just a pretty big lift outside of just D2C. So that to your point, that's a way for us to capture both people that haven't heard about us or people that have heard about us but want to purchase offline or go try it in store before they're willing to take the plunge online. So that's going to be, I think, unlock a lot of growth for us, and we hope to open many more stores in the future. But that's going to be a great opportunity, and we'll see that halo effect online. That's going to allow more people to become aware of Kizik, try it on, and then they still may want to go buy and ship it to their home. So it's kind of that rising tide lifting all boats. But I'd say that's our biggest focus is this rebrand or brand refresh not only is just for D2C and what you see on the website, but it's inspiring our product creation, how we show up in store, even how our customer service speaks to our customers. So it's touching all of our business, and I think it's setting the foundation for us to really scale into these, whether that be existing channels or opening up these new ones that we feel like there's a lot of untapped growth there.
Awesome. Last question I have for you. Could you please mention, of course, if you want, and the ones you remember, the tools that you guys use, like your tech stack at Kizik, that help you grow the company every single day? It could be either for attribution, post-purchase surveys, or giving you insights on LTV, customer journey, whatever you use, at least the top 3 or 5.
Yeah. So we're built on Shopify. So, I think there's a lot of the usual suspects that show up there, Klaviyo, PostScript for kind of our retention pieces. We use a couple different tools. We're on Northbeam. We use that for an MTA, and then have we're exploring their MMM model, but we have another tool that we use for MMM. It's called Recast. And I think those have come on as we've gotten more sophisticated. And what's another one? Probably one that is less sexy but touches a lot of our customers is Loop Returns. It's our reverse logistics, and really creating that either returns or exchanges, creating a really nice experience there is really key. So they're one to check out. Yeah, and then we do a lot of stuff just like everyone else through spreadsheets or data studio, things like that just help us model out our data and keep an eye on those KPIs that we talked a lot about earlier.
That's awesome. Brad, before we go, I have one more question for you. Is there anybody that you follow, admire, or has helped you in your journey that you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, maybe two people. One I mentioned a little bit earlier, but Alex MacArthur, he was someone that I think I worked with him for 8 years, and he gave me that first opportunity at Purple, and then pried me away to come to Kizik, and has just always been a champion and a supporter of me, and appreciate the opportunity that he's given me, and he's one of the great marketers and I think team builders that I've been across that so he's been great. And then maybe just my wife will probably never hear this, but a shout out to my wife. She's really given me the opportunity to follow my passions in my career, and when I'm working late or having to take a call, she's always really patient with me and just supportive and a cheerleader. And I think maybe oftentimes that's not talked about is our cheerleaders and support system outside of work. And so I just really look up to her and appreciate her support with helping raising kids together with her has been awesome. And again, she's allowed me to do some of the cool things in my career. So yeah.
Amazing. That's awesome. So for everyone listening or watching this, if you're not already there, feel free to go to the DTCinsider.com, find this episode, and there you will find all the show notes for this episode, including everything he mentioned, the tools, people he mentioned, and everything else. So Brad, it was a pleasure to have you here on the show. He actually gave a lot of value. You are in a position where many people want to be. So I think this will inspire many marketers and brand founders. So I wanted to thank you for that and ask you where people can go to learn more about you and the company as well.
Yeah. Kizik.com, Kizik.com if you want to learn about Kizik. And then I'm just Brett Swensen, Swensen, pretty much everywhere. Twitter, LinkedIn, that's where I spend most of my time. If you want to connect, happy to chat. And if I can share, any learnings, I would be happy to. So,
Perfect, Brad. Again, it was a pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
thanks for having me.